Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the WHOLESTIC Method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey everybody, I'm so excited to have my favorite girlfriend's doctor on my show today, Dr. Cabeca. Thanks for coming on to talk shop today.
I am thrilled to be here with you as always. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm excited to talk more about hormones and women and female athletes and going low carb and following your book, Keto Green, and getting the right information, because as I just was saying before we push record, as the saying is, women are not small men, and a lot of people read blogs and listen to podcasts, and females will just kind of follow along and not realize that a lot of the information out there is based on research for men, and we are different. We have hormones, and I'm like perimenopausal, and a lot of women are menopausal, and how things are a little bit different. So talk kind of what your book came out in May, right?
Yes. Yeah. Cinco de Mayo, May 5th.
That's right.
And yeah, I think I like that. We are not small men and men are not hairy women.
Yeah, true.
It is true. Well, I think too, your experience, because you stumbled across me and my book and this whole Keto Green approach. And how did that feel for you being pro athlete, being, into this fitness and health and nutrition for a long time, the tweaking at a certain time of life? How did it feel for you?
Well, I realized I was trying to do less vegetables just based on information. I was hearing all these carnivore friends, last year at KetoCon and on the low carb cruise. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try that. But then I did my lab tests and they actually were not great. They were missing key bacteria in my microbiome labs I did with Cron. And we did a whole podcast. Like I wasn't even having Akkermansia, main key stone bacteria. And so I was like, all right, that's not good for me. So it's just as an N=1 experience. And I think for females and athletes training, I'm probably doing 75% less exercise than I used to, especially COVID. I'm not swimming yet, and I'm not lifting weights 3 times a week. And so I think it's different right now for females, how to adjust their nutrition based on their hormones, their menstrual cycle, perimenopausal. And then there's the menopausal women. But yes, your program, it made me more aware of like, okay, having greens is a good thing and we need to have that. And so many people are saying, you don't need vegetables. There's no essential carbohydrates. So I think it's just so much information out there is confusing that you should only eat protein. And then people say, oh, you're going to have gluconeogenesis. Too much protein will convert into glucose. And it's just overwhelming. And I think we just need to individualize it with coaching. But what have you found your feedback on working with women and how it transformed their own lives?
Yeah, definitely. And now with my Keto Green approach for the last several years, working with women around the globe, it is transformative. And especially during this transformation time period, it's different. Men have 10 times as much testosterone. They have more naturally circulating estrogen as a result of 10 times as much testosterone than women too. I mean, just in the brain, we rely on our ovarian production and of hormones. And when we go through menopause or perimenopause age, they're starting 35s, late 30s, 40s, this transition is happening. We have to adjust what we're doing. And because I heard it over and over again from my patients, my clients would come in and say, Dr. Ann, I'm gaining 5, 10, 20 pounds and I'm not doing anything different. And that happened to me. And that was eye-opening for me because I was healthy, doing everything right. Nothing else changed but 20 pounds overnight. Felt like, right?
Yeah.
And so it makes us dig in. So what's the right way? Well, going straight keto for me made me feel ill. It made me feel unwell. I call it keto cranky, keto crazy. Not a place to be as a single mom of teenagers. Let me just tell you that.
Yes.
And so I knew something had to shift and I needed to understand what's happening to my neurotransmitters. So I think that, as we're going through what you said, and I want to stop a second because what you said was so powerful. And it was that, intuitively doing what we need for us and the N of one. That's the best we can do. And we have to get in tune with this because no one else is living our life in our environment, in our homes, in our stress level, in our body physiology. And we're, accumulation of many things, right? Yeah. So we have to adjust to what is the best thing for us now. And when we look at alkalinizing nutrition and lifestyle, we need to consider that too. And there's a way to look and modify so it's perfect for you as you are, as you're made in this season, at this time of life, in this hormonal balance, in this stressful environment, in this situation, right? So what is it that you need? And I will tell you that in my Keto Green community, that's over 10,000 strong, there's not, two people doing the same thing, right? Every one of us is different. So that makes sense. It's like, okay, well, let me try this in this season. Let's see. And even in my Keto Green community, we're doing our Keto Green challenge off of Keto Green 16. But next, middle of this month, we start Keto Green 16 Vegan challenge. And then maybe we'll do a Keto Green 16 Extreme challenge and really reduce carbs even more during that time. But cycle things up, change things up, see what resonates for you. And often it's these... like with working out, Debbie, I mean, you say this, like metabolic flexibility, right? We need this. We need metabolic flexibility. Just like with exercise, we need to change things up. Yeah. We need muscle confusion. At least that's what my trainer tells me all the time.
I say that all the time.
I hear your voice in my head.
Yeah. It is muscle confusion. And I think I feel that my body needs that variation in what I'm eating, not be, strict carnivore or just this, or, it's eating by the season, eating based on what your body needs. And then I'm learning more about eating based on your time of your cycle and what days you are. Because you talk about the phases of our menstrual cycle for women, that we need to change the carb intake based on the time of the month or time of your cycle. Yeah. I think a lot of people just do that one size fits all approach and eat the same all the time. And how do carbs vary for women during menstrual cycle, those that are still cycling?
Yeah, well, that's often during that menstrual cycle. We often need more. We're listening to our cravings. We need more carbohydrates during the, pre-menses phase, so the late luteal phase of our cycle. So often we crave chocolate. We're craving magnesium-rich foods where, and foods like adaptogenic foods. We want to support and comfort our body because our body's thinking, okay, I'm preparing for pregnancy. I've got to have additional resources here because I'm going to be pregnant in a little bit, right? That's that luteal phase that you're getting to right before your period starts. So often there's that natural craving during that time too. I mean, it starts with ovulation. We get a boost of testosterone that can make us hungrier as we're building more muscle too. And so honoring this basic approach, I think, is important as well. Again, just like with our time of life, our time of month, that's important to honor and listen to what our body needs. But often, and this is where getting keto green, I will say keto clean or keto green is really important because we have to lift the brain fog. We have to eliminate the sugar, the toxins, the hormone disruptors that are impairing our intuition. Like women will say, I don't even know what I like. I don't even know what's good for me. I've just been following what I've been told to do my whole life. Like I don't even know what I want to do or be or eat, anymore. Well, that shit's got to stop. So.
Yeah. I know, but I think it's powerful that you have to learn how to feel what's your body's asking. And I think a lot of people, like you just said, we don't know. We're not in touch with our own feelings, our own emotions, because we're, sympathetic dominant. We're always on the go and living life as a race that we don't ever realize, I feel like this, and honoring those signals and not feeling guilty that, my body's saying I need a little more carbs. That doesn't mean eat garbage. It means have some sweet potatoes or have a little more starchy carbs. And I think a lot of us type A driven, ambitious, top high performers are so strict. And I learned the hard way that you have to listen to your body and honor that, okay, I'm going to adjust a little bit what I'm eating. But I think so many people feel guilty if they have, if I went over, 20 grams of carbs a day and I didn't follow this exactly. And then you're feeling depressed and angry at yourself.
I say use it as a discovery process. Okay, well, why did I do that? Why did I have that third glass of wine? I'm talking to myself right now. Why did I, think about what was it that, was going through your mind, or what were you feeling, or what was the underlying, maybe there was something underlying you didn't want to address, or, what is the reason? And I think we have to look at that, because we are organisms. We are energetic bodies. We are nature. So we radiate from us to others, right? And we interact with our environment. Our energy, our energetic pattern extends way beyond our physical body. So think about what else is going on? What are the reasons that maybe we're struggling? And this is where it comes in, the toxic mold, right? Mm-hmm. Viruses, parasites. I mean, we recognize now how we've been for a lifetime exposed to many things that our bodies continuously had to fight off. And that makes us stronger, right? Mm-hmm. It does make us stronger. But understanding what makes us stronger, what brings us up, and what takes us down is an important part of this discernment. I base it based, on my spiritual discovery many years ago when I was studying the work of Saint Ignatius. Saint Ignatius is this saint. He was a knight in the Middle Ages, not saintly at all. He loved to party and cohort and be with many women and all this stuff according to history. And he was wounded in a battle, jousting or something, some type of battle, showing off. And he was in the hospital, and the only book that he had was the Bible. So he started reading about the lives of these saints, and he'd start thinking about it, and he'd get elated, feeling this lift in his spirit, and he felt that stayed with him. And then he would say, well, I'm not going to go that way because my life as a knight is so fun, right? And he would think about that and, the women he's been with and everything. And then he'd start to feel like that only sustained him for the moment, not for the long run. And so his spiritual journey, it talks about the spirit of desolation versus the spirit of consolation, like what brings us light, what takes us down. And so I look at it as a dial based on this. Like we're either acting based on fear or based on love. Which way is our own internal barometer? Which way is our arrow pointing? Are we acting based on fear or based on love? Is this good for me or is this bad for me? Is this nourishing me or is this destroying me? And if we start to kind of think in that way, intentionally with awareness, that really helps us guide us in making better, stronger decisions. And it's never more important than at this transition time of life for perimenopause. Menopause, I say we want to breathe. In Japan, the word for menopause is konenki, which means second spring. So I say we want to breeze through menopause into our second spring and fully live out the rest of our lives in a very healthy, intelligent, wise, fun, lighthearted, loving way. And in order for us to do that, it's really getting in touch with what works for us and what doesn't work for us. And so for me, it's the Keto Green way. And it's like sometimes, like doing this vegan challenge for 16 days, my Keto Green 16 vegan plan that's in my book. Let's do this for this amount of times. And then it would be maybe restrict or, even longer fasting or water fasting or just, keto alkaline fasting, which I call using protein, shake, and fat and bone broth for a keto alkaline fast, or, different types of things at different seasons, listening to what, trying different things out, feeling what resonates, and keeping us stronger, building us up. In no culture in the world has done a carnivore, I say that right? Carnivore plan long term, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we often, keto followers and carnivore followers refer to the Inuit tribes of Alaska, that they would eat a lot of fat, high fat, lots of, fatty meat, fish, etc. but they were drinking the fish bone broth. Those are alkalinizing minerals. Those are the alkalinizing part. They figured out that in order to survive on this well and healthfully, they need those alkalinizers as part of their nutrition plan. And that's part of this entire Keto Green plan. The nourishing part through our food, and also the nourishing lifestyle part through our mindset, our activities, creating our environment, our safe space, etc.
And I think that's so much similar to what I've found over the years that works best for me and my clients is what I call the WHOLESTIC Method, that it's not just working on nutrition, but there's these 8 elements we need to really address, as well as, everyone always does nutrition exercise. But as you explain in your book too, same thing I talk about is the sleep and the stress and getting movement, mobility, working on digestion and gut health and proper hydration. Then my favorite one is happiness. How many people are happy and, being grateful and playing and laughing each day. And I think that is so important right now in our world.
Yes. And it's the most powerful hormone, right? That all ignites oxytocin, the most powerful hormone of love, bonding, and connection, which is also the most alkalinizing hormone.
Yeah. So let's talk about, kind of go over the Keto Green 16. We'll put the link in the podcast that we did a few months ago, but just kind of recap, because I think maybe people don't know about the alkalinity versus acidity and the benefit of, why do we need to do more alkaline vegetables and practices. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and this is really important because this is something I recognize as part of my own journey too, like going through, I said my second menopause at age 48 and really hitting a wall and struggling and gaining those 20 pounds overnight without.
Mine was 30 pounds. You only had 20. I had 30 pounds.
Oh man, I tell you, it's something, right? When you're doing nothing different, it's like, just pulling the carpet out from under your feet, let me tell you. And so that made me go into very carb restricted, so the keto plan, but I didn't feel good. And that's where I needed to understand why. Why is it affecting my neurotransmitters? And that led me to the discovery of just testing my urine pH, what I tell my patients to do, check urine pH. My urine pH was very acidic as the pH paper would read. And so who knows, it was a pH of 5 and it really needs to be 7 and above, slightly alkaline. 7 is neutral, so slightly above, more alkaline. And that's good place to be. So I was as acidic as the urine pH paper read, but that was my aha moment. That was my moment to say, no wonder I'm feeling off balance. No wonder I'm not feeling good. Acidity for a long time is inflammation. Now, this is where I get criticism is we're not talking about blood pH. Our blood pH stays alkaline, slightly alkaline and stable. We will rob Peter to pay Paul to keep that blood pH slightly alkaline, to keep it really stable. If it's a little high, a little low, we're super sick. When I have a patient who's coming into the emergency room and they're crashing, I would, assess their arterial gas, blood pH, not even venous, arterial blood pH, and they would get bicarb, huge alkalinizer, IV if they were slightly acidic, because that's a critical situation, right? They're really, really sick. And over time, with starvation, you can get more acidic, but in general, our body's going to stay pretty stable. Respiratory diseases, hypoxia is all going to make us very acidic, and that's what's troublesome in the ICUs, on the ventilators, and that's what we're trying to keep from happening to people who are needing to be ventilated. We don't want their blood pH to shift to acidity, and they're constantly checking arterial blood gases. Now, our urine pH, that fluctuates like our weight can fluctuate, like our blood pressure can fluctuate, like our pulse can fluctuate, but it tells you something about yourself. And it tells you how you're interacting with your environment. How's, a mineral status? How's your stress hormone? How, maybe you're acidic because you just did an hour high intensity workout with Debbie. So maybe you're doing something like that. And it can, or you're dehydrated and you can be acidic. But we know from research that a more alkaline urine pH over time is associated with less cancer, less heart disease, less diabetes, less hypertension, less osteoporosis. So as a for pennies a day, we can look and see how well are we doing. And as part of my discovery was that a keto plan made me very acidic, inflamed, cranky, keto cranky or keto crazy, if you want to be more accurate. And the alkaline component made me just feel enlightened. I felt like in the Bible, it talks about the peace that surpasses all understanding. And I felt that. Nothing in my external. I was still a single mom of teenagers and a wee one in elementary school and doing it all on my own. But I still felt I had this peace that surpasses all understanding, and nothing in my external environment had changed. And that's this combination that I hear from my community, my Keto Green community, and people who've been doing I plan in my first book, The Hormone Fix, or my new book, Keto Green 16, they just feel the shift. And it's awakening. And it's really, I think it's powerful. And that's what we want to see shift. And it's not just because of what we're eating, because what I noticed early on, and this is why it's part of the plan, is that the mornings I would get up and walk on the beach or do gratitude journaling, I was more alkaline all day. So that sets the stage for improving our cortisol curve, improving our physiology, and that improves our overall metabolism, our overall health in general, and why it's not just what we eat that matters.
Yeah, I think that's a key part that sets your book apart, is that you're not just saying, okay, you need to be alkaline by changing your foods and adding this into it, but also those lifestyle behaviors that are so key, as you said, walking on the beach and getting that grounding and setting the day up right on a more parasympathetic state, or kind of feel more relaxed and vibrant, and that will help you as well. And you've tested that yourself to see that it changes it without changing your nutrition, but you change your lifestyle habits. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do we do nutritionally? The Keto Green 16, how does that make us more alkaline and keep us in balance?
Yeah. So with this, we talk about 16 hours of intermittent fasting. And with Keto Green 16, my plan, I use 16 key food types to really address different areas: digestion, hormone balance, nutrients, probiotic rich foods, and detoxification of unhealthy hormones or unhealthy estrogens. We want those ingredients that are there and powerful and combined. So it's a healthy amount of fat, high quality protein, and very low carbohydrate. And so, but enough of those alkalinizers, using herbs, spices, etc., to also add some alkalinizing and detoxifying benefits. So 16 with that food, those food choices, and 16 hours intermittent fasting, we really see an improvement in overall quality of health very, very quickly. And in addition, it's a 16-day plan, so it's in a very short amount of time, we see a tremendous amount of improvement. And that's really been beautiful to see. We've seen people go through a few cycles now and are just continuing to do amazing, but they feel great. I had one lady write in, she's on day 4, and she's already lost 3 pounds, and she feels amazing and just better than she's had in years in just a few days. So we can quickly, our body has this amazing regenerative ability, and it's because we quickly, can improve our cell health and function. And in 72 hours, our gut cells are turning over. So given the right nutrients and the right combinations, can make a tremendous amount of difference quickly.
So this will help improve liver function, so help the detoxification, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, I call it elimination phase.
Yes. And
that's by mostly doing the fasting and eating nourishing foods for your liver?
Yes, yeah. And mostly that, supporting your liver detox, but also that big part, phase 3. Now, this is a really important area that, it's a critical area to address, because constipation encourages retoxification. So constipation causes retoxification. In other words, your body's just reabsorbing toxins when you're constipated. And then you can have issues with prolapse. I've had clients need to put 2 fingers in the vagina to get the stool to come out. Because you're getting that prolapse and pressure, and you don't have to have surgery. You need to get rid of the constipation, okay, for the most part, and use Jolva, those 2 things. Mm-hmm. But this is a really big issue. So the fiber and the greens are really important. Probiotics, giving your body time to digest, maybe adding digestive enzymes if you need to, so that you're not getting constipated, because that does encourage a reabsorption of toxins, and we want that eliminated. It's a really big problem with many people who are on straight keto. They'll have, a terrible time with constipation. That's going to have physical effects as well as physiologic effects.
Well, I think a lot of that seems to be, from what I look at on social media, is that dirty keto versus clean keto. And I think that's always, you're putting garbage. It might be low carb, but is it filled with chemicals and fake foods and glyphosate and all this other stuff that you're going to get in without being clean keto as you have in your food plan. It's real food. It's not any packaged stuff.
Right, definitely. I mean, we'll supplement if we need to with Keto Green Shake and also Mighty Maca Plus. That's part of my daily supplementation. But it's essentially the combination of the foods and the ingredients. And the recipes are just amazing and easy, even for the non-chef. And that's one of the reasons why we did, after the Hormone 6 plan, which is a fabulous recipes, really simplified it with keeping things as simple as possible, but yet as physiologically beneficial as possible in these 16 days, so that we see these amazing results very quickly.
So do you find that most people, or you assume that everyone has a leaky gut and has gut dysfunction, and that this will improve their gut health, which helps their neurotransmitter production of serotonin, mostly made in your gut, and our immune system's in our gut?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It does. And it's the combination of things. We have to nourish our body and our mind and our spirit, and using things like, even one of the 16 key ingredients is fermented foods like kimchi or sauerkraut, right? Our ancestors my mom used to bottle and pickle everything. We grew up in Pennsylvania. We had a basement, and there'd be rows and rows of pickled foods, right? But that's important. That fermented food is known to help with our digestion, and food combinations are known to help with digestion. Even something like in the Middle East, during the season when there's watermelon is eaten after dinner, and it's considered a digestive fruit to support digestion. Like in my book, I use pineapple, mango, and papaya. You want to lose, a low sugar pineapple. A little bit goes a long way, believe me, because if it kicks you out of ketosis, then we have to take it out. But digestive fruits, papain from papaya, it's a great digestive enzyme. So we're using these foods as to support our body's physiologic processes, and often we've never thought about it in these ways, and it's food as medicine. I like looking at historical, again in history, especially now. When was there a time like this? What happened during the pandemic? We had the Spanish flu, we had the bubonic plague, we had these other pandemics, and how did people, what were the characteristics of people that survived, that improved their quality of life, their quality of relationships, and what are things that, how did we, overcome, and what were some of the results from these situations? Like, what habits were brought up, what foods were encouraged, what foods were eliminated, and sugar being a big one, right? Sugar, a huge disruptor, makes us sicker, feeds our cancers. And so we know now preemptively, we want to, avoid sugar like the plague.
Yeah. I know. I just did a podcast with Mike Mutzel, and because he's been posting a lot about all that, I go, just let's let it out. Let it vent all you want. That was pretty fun. But it is, interesting, because no one ever, it's a whole nother topic, but no one ever talks about that in the media, about get off sugar and eat real food. They're not going to tell you that on the news. How to be healthy. What does that really mean? So
it's so disappointing. I think now, Debbie, and I'm glad you're doing this, because I was thinking about it today. We are creating an awareness that, okay, we need to practice a cleaner lifestyle, or cleaner interaction, so to speak, right? But a vaccine doesn't cure everything. And this is really critical. But what needs to be front page and center is the healthiest people in the world live this way. And in societies past, when there was plague, crises, famine, whatever it is, these were the skills that people developed to survive. And it really comes into this, honestly, I say the Keto Green way. It's a warrior way, and it's a sustainable, natural, integrated way. So it's almost like the masculine to feminine. Keto, very masculine, alkaline, very feminine. It's a merger of the two, and it makes physiologic sense. And it's the perfect time to do this now. What we're seeing in our Keto Green community is resilience, is good health. I haven't seen anyone posting that they're sick with COVID yet. Thank you, God, right? Yeah. But we're creating this resilience. And we actually did some clinical studies with Keto Green 16 in preclinical studies in group medical visits. Actually, Dr. Angela Aki's office in Gainesville, Florida has been running group medical visits with my plan, Keto Green 16. And what we saw right at the start of the outbreak, I went down there. That was last time I went in person. Now I present virtually. But I went down there, and our average age entering was 63 years old. And because I want menopausal, I want the weight loss resistant group, right? Me and my friends. So we have our average age, it was predominantly women, 63 years old. And the average weight loss was 9 pounds, and the average waist loss was 1.25 inches. Now, if the average weight loss was 3 pounds in 16 days, I'd have been thrilled. 9 pounds. And we had a gentleman in the study, a 57-year-old hypertensive gentleman, and he lost 30 pounds and was weaning off his blood pressure medicine. And that's huge. I mean, just a huge amount of improvement in cell-to-cell function. And we know we're shifting water weight, and we're shifting cellular communication, and we're improving metabolism, and we're detoxifying during this time. So there's a lot of that. But let me tell you that every one of them felt stronger, more resilient, and more energetic. In fact, one woman said, she's 67 years old, and she said, I've been out helping my elderly neighbors who are younger than her. So she goes, I'm helping my elderly neighbors that are younger than me because, they're afraid of this, that, and the other. So she goes shopping for them and everything. Mm-hmm. And so I like that. I like that energy. I like that zest. I like that resilience. I like that power. Yeah. And it's about taking your power back. And
yeah, I keep saying that, taking ownership for your health. And I think the word I keep saying is resiliency too. And I think, it's really taking charge and being empowered by wellness. And I think this is the time of any time in your entire life that you need to be doing this. And your program is so easy to follow. It's just kind of why I love it so much, because it makes sense to me, and it's what I would have myself do in clients. So the Keto Green 16 is 2 weeks. That includes the fasting and eating your food per program, but you can individualize it. And then what do you do afterwards? You said people keep doing it, and how do you know when it's too much fasting or too low carb?
I think people can go right into another round. I have a chapter in the book called Day 17 and Beyond to really open up some options. And also many people get restriction fatigue, feeling, okay, well, let me take a 3-day break or something. And I think that's absolutely fine. And as I always say, there's fasting times, there's feasting times, and then there's Keto Green, which is the majority of the time. And being able to understand that is, it's interesting. And now during this pandemic, because cortisol is a stress hormone, and if we're, allowing that to rule in our lives, we're going to be fatigued, we're going to be depleted, we're going to have addicted behaviors and self-medicating behaviors that are maybe not healthy. We have that choice to make it healthy or unhealthy. And because I recognize that our thoughts are so powerful, that's why with Keto Green 16, there's also like 16 key lifestyle hacks that we need to make, and just even one at a time, to really empower our physiology so that we're not having cravings, we're not having a need for self-medicating, or we're positively self-medicating, like with happiness. I have clients do a cheer word. Number one, as I grow older, I want my wrinkles in a smile. I want laugh lines. And I don't want frown lines. And you can just sit somewhere at a coffee shop and look at people's faces and expressions. So resting faces and expressions. So anyway, I have people say a cheer word. Like, say my cheer word today is giggle. Giggle or jiggle or smile. Any word that makes you smile. And just think of that periodically throughout the day. It does change your physiology. It does shift. When we smile, our body recognizes that as a good thing.
Yeah.
So creating these practices that bring that a positive physiologic shift is powerful in our overall success. If that's the one thing we can do today, that's a step in the right direction. That's the next right step.
Yeah, and I think that's so essential because I've been writing a lot lately in blogs, and I think what keeps coming back to me too is that choice we make and having time to laugh and be silly. And it's that chronic stress that impacts everything you do. And as I have shared in my story that, I was doing low carb, I was doing fasting, but I had overabundance of chronic stress externally. And then I discovered with lab testing internal chronic stressors that I didn't know about. And so, it's really important to work on that stress reduction and stress management by adding that laughter and play and silliness. Because I think so many of us are type A, AAA personalities that we're driven and ambitious, high performers, that we forget that, okay, I haven't even smiled. I haven't been laughing. I haven't been silly, and just be funny. And it just is so healing. And you can feel that if you do that daily. So it's great. So true. So true. So I want to wrap up soon because I know we're running out of time. But intermittent fasting, I find it, a question I have often is, when is it too long for women based on if they're cycling perimenopausal and then menopausal? I don't know if it matters much, but perimenopausal days of the month of their cycle, is it fasting, more than 16 hours? Have you found any hormone imbalances when we're doing too much, or doing like a 24, 72-hour fast, if it's best time for people, or when not to do it, when to do it? Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think during the menses, like within the first 7 days, it's a really nice time to do a fast during that time. If you can, like some people are experiencing a lot of cramping and then it may be miserable, but otherwise that's a good time to actually fast. It's a reset time, right? That's what your menses does. It resets. So maybe day 3 of your menses, doing an extended fast. For me, my culture, my lifestyle's been created. So it's pretty much anywhere between, 13 to 16 hour fast on a regular basis, sometimes longer. Sundays, usually a longer fast, a 1 meal a day on Sundays, and as part of my physical practice and spiritual practice. And then periodically times for extended fast. And I think this is also wisdom. Traditionally, like many cultures incorporated fasting into their cultures, into their religion. And, it's part of the societal health. So when we are clear, when we're fasting, when we're in ketosis, when we've detoxified enough, right? So that we feel good, and you feel like when you're keto green, keto alkaline, you really feel this clarity. When you feel that, you have a spiritual connection and a peace. And I think that's really powerful. So I always say, first and foremost, listen to your body, but let's get rid of any addictions, and let's get rid of the cloud. Let's get rid of, let's let all that break up with that bad boyfriend sugar, right? I call sugar the toxic ex-boyfriend. Always trying to sneak back into your life, just one more time. Yeah. Just one more date. Come on, let's try again. It'll be different. It's never different, right? So that toxic anyone else related to that? That's perfect. But breaking up with sugar is really, really powerful. And sometimes it's going to be in phases. Like, it's stopping, the bread, stopping the obvious sugars, the rice, and those are good for us. And periodically you may want that. Stopping the fruit for a while. Sugar is sugar. But, periodically adding that back in, as long as it doesn't trigger you on a downward cycle. And then maybe it's taking pauses in these different foods, like we talked about carnivore. But I wouldn't go into carnivore without really checking that urine pH, looking at your herbs and spices, and consider the source. We are what we ate. So, and how it was raised, and how it lived, and how it died. Those stress hormones from much of the animal meat. So it's nice to, explore and really feel. Test, don't guess. Really feel and test the effects on your body. For sure. I think testing and not guessing, that's what I was going to, start to wrap up with, is being people that are trying carnivore and, when they should add more greens to it. And you don't really know unless you pay attention to how you feel, but testing with your urine strips, that's easy and very inexpensive to do. But that's a great way to kind of manage when do you need to adjust your macros and add more greens to your day.
Yes, exactly. Urine testing, urine pH and ketones, that then you know what your body's doing.
Yeah. And then
stay more compliant too.
Mighty Maca is my other favorite. And my eye cream that I got from you that is like godsend. It's like,
yay!
That stuff is amazing because as I'm 48 for a few more months, but it's amazing the importance of adding maca, your Mighty Maca and all the greens. So if we can finish up with that, and then the eye cream, how it just helps balance out that skin and as we get hormone imbalances. So, but I'll put all the links in the show notes. But talk about Mighty Maca benefits real quick, and then we'll say goodbye.
Mighty Maca is my formula with over 30 superfoods, including maca from Peru, organic maca from Peru. I've been using the same source for a decade. And it is a powerful adaptogen. And I also included part of my journey around the world, and you read my story when you get Mighty Maca. But it is that I added other superfoods from around the world, many that are getting high publicity right now this viral season, such as turmeric, resveratrol, quercetin, even cat's claw herb. They're all in Mighty Maca, along with some green tea extract, grapeseed extract, and other greens and enzymes to really help support your body. So 30 superfoods combined that really work on multiple pathways to help restore this balance. In fact, I had a physician out of Oregon who does a lot of energy medicine. He said, Mighty Maca Plus, this formula is the single formula that gets so much into balance, better than any other product he's tested and used for over 30 years of his clinical practice. And it's true. It's true for me. And true for so many clients. It's been out for 10 years, recommended by physicians around the world. It's the one singular product that I want you to walk out the door with, because I know it's going to help balance you in so many ways. So that's Mighty Maca, adaptogenic, alkalinizing, super detoxifying combination. It tastes really good. It looks like green superfood. If anyone saw my daughter just prior to her championship run, her first time ever, first place in the 4D championship run, really big event, top 40 of, in the top 40 of over 450 runners. And she won this big saddle and all kinds of stuff. So she was drinking Mighty Maca before she rode out. So mixed it in her water bottle, and there's pictures of her just chugging it down before she goes out to run, because it just energizing, and it's an adaptogen. It's going to help her stress response. And anyway, it's I'm claiming that part of the fame. So Mighty Maca is going to sponsor her now. Yes.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you need to get cycling kits. We can get for cyclists too, and then you can get my outfits. Yeah. I saw Butcher Box has kits, so you should get one. Yeah, you can have Dr. Anna's cycling outfits, triathlon race running kits.
Absolutely.
So I'll put all the links in the show notes, but I do think, I recommend Mighty Maca to all my clients that I'm health coaching with, because you get their results back from their labs, and, you don't want to fill them with all these pills and supplements and capsules, but just take a Mighty Maca each day, which I'm going to go make mine next. But it is something to add in for women and men. I'm having my husband take the Maca too, because I think, men as we get older, the testosterone is a little lower and their hormones are getting lower, especially as an athlete training. They need a little extra boost too. So it's not just for females, right?
Right. No, we have tons of athletes. We have world-class boxer, Paul Vaulter, 27-year-old Paul Vaulter, Olympic pole vaulter. He loves it. And, came across it and he's like, I don't know, about your marketing for me, but your product's amazing. I am trying. Men do really, really well with it. They definitely feel a boost in libido and energy. And it is a fabulous formula. And women too, reducing hot flash, especially my breast cancer clients, like something natural they can take that supports their balance, their physiology in a very natural way. And you feel it. It's good stuff, Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for everything you're doing, and keep it up. And any new projects, are you just focusing on the Keto Green 16 online, and anything else?
I have a new proposal in for my next book
already.
And so yes, I know. I just did no rest for the weary, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about it, and I have a couple other products coming down the line too: a bedtime formula and a lip formula. So.
Ooh. Very good. Well, we'll put all the links for what we have now out there, and people can stay connected. You have a great blog, and you must sign up for it because they had good recipes. There was one I showed my husband because he does the cooking. I go, can you make this? And that. So I passed it along to him. But thank you for everything you're doing. Thanks for coming on the show again. It's always fun to talk to you and talk shop. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us to continue to grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.